This is the book of Revelation 13 and 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and called that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahushai, Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahushai, Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahushai. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rukakodash. Double honors apostles and elders of great stone. Peace and salutation to your beloved Akim that is pushing his word in sincerity and truth, with humiliation all across the four winds. To you, I salute. This is the Brother's Desire one back at you with another lesson. Okay? And we see pretty much the image of the beast is speaking. And how is it speaking? Through the system. Alright? The laws are going to be set up. Alright? Because this digital ID, they pushing this digital ID. And it's moving fast. This moving fast. Okay? Alright? So, hey, pretty much, if you don't comply, you're gonna be axed out of society, okay? Because you're gonna need this digital ID. All right, you're gonna need this digital ID to participate in the society. Then this is ultimately gonna lead this. This is the infrastructure being set up for the MOTB. This will take you right into the MOTB, the Karagma. All right, the C-hip, the microchip. Okay. Because the scripture say he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a charagma in their right hand, on their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the charagma. All right. This they setting up the infrastructure. So if you don't have this digital ID, all right, check this out. It says Dutch Queen orders digital ID requirement for banking, school enrollment, and the V verification. All right. You see that? It's required. Queen Maxima of the Netherlands used her appearance at the World's Economic Forum Davos Summit. All right. Okay. Over there in Sweden, the highest point, to articulate what many critics say the global elite have been planning for years, a future in which a digital ID is required to access the nearly every aspect of life. They ain't playing. These devils coming down with great wrath. Okay? They coming down with great wrath. All right? Having these meetings over there in Sweden, WAF. All right? Okay? We know what they planning. Okay? They ain't playing. They want control. It says speaking for an audience of bankers, technocrats. All right? And pretty much that's what Trump, pretty much, sell over the country to these in the hands of these technocrats. Bill Gates, Elon Musk, and the Palantir guy, these devils, okay, the wicked. It says unelected power brokers. The Dutch Queen stated plainly that digital ID will soon be necessary not only for financial service but also for determining the status, enrolling children in school, and receiving government subsidies. So you want to continue to receive that welfare payment or stuff like that? Hey, you're gonna need that. All right. So these devils ain't playing. It says to supporters, the remarks were framed as practical modernization. To skeptics, they sounded like a declaration. It says, you know what? Let me just play the video.
When I started this job, there were actually very little countries in Africa or Latin America that had one.
All right. It says digital ID is necessary not only for financial service but also for determining who is and isn't the school enrollment and the receipt of government subsidies. So they want to know everything. So because they're gonna push forward some more of those jobs. So pretty much they want to know, hey, if you take this or not. So they'll determine, hey, you can't get this without if you don't have that pokey, you can, your children can't get enrolled in school. All right. Okay. These devils coming down with a hammer. It always starts over there and end up trickling down to the west. All right. We in some crazy times. All right, these devils is moving. He coming down with that great rod, right? All right. This is our Revelation 12 and 12. It says, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and neither dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is coming down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he had but a short time. All right. Watch this, right?
Ubiquitous type of ID, and certainly that it was digital, and certainly that it was biometric. And we've really worked with all our partners to actually help that being, to grow this. And the interesting part of it is that, yes, it is very necessary for financial services. But not only, sure. It's also good for school enrollment. It's also good for health, who actually got a vaccination or not. It's very good to actually to get your subsidies, from the.
You see that? You see that? Yeah, boy. These times coming. It says, when banking, education, healthcare compliance, and state assistance are all tied to one centralized digital credential, identity stops being about verification and starts becoming about control. All right? It's all about control. That's what they want control. All right? Okay? They want control. All right? From the banking, education, healthcare, compliance, they want you to comply. All right? Because if you don't comply, all right, you're going to get axed out of society. All right? You can't receive certain benefits. All right? This devil wants control. A system like this doesn't merely identify a system, it decides who may participate in society and who may be excluded. You see that? Let's get that precept again. It's everything in the scriptures. This is Revelation 13 and 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many would not worship the beast, the image of the beast, should be killed. You don't conform this image, you should be killed, right? When you go on with the word killed, all right, it says to kill in whatever, to destroy, to allow, the Paris metaphor, to extinguish, abolish. All right, let's go into the root word. It says of separation, of local separation. It says after of separation of apart from the whole. All right, so guess what? You're gonna be separated. Now, some brothers are, gonna be modest for this truth, but pretty much, if you ain't comply, you're gonna be separated. You're gonna be X out society. It says, yeah, a system like this doesn't merely identify citizens. It decides who may participate in society or who may be quietly excluded. Okay, so if you don't gonna comply, pretty much, that's what's gonna happen. Critics warn that once access to money is conditional, freedom becomes theoretical. Once school enrollment depends on digital profile, dissent carries consequences. You see that? So, hey, these are times we're coming into, boy. All right. Once V status is permanently embedded into identity system, medical choice ceases to be private. In this framework, refusal doesn't require punishment. It simply results in denial of access. So, hey, you can't participate. You can't receive certain subsidies if you don't get that. Hokey pokey. It says, the setting of the remarks has only intensified suspicion. Queen Maxima did not raise these ideas in a national debate or democratic forum, but at Davos, the annual gathering of the World Economic Forum. All right, an organization already associated with pushing central bank digital currencies, digital health passes, all right, technocratic government models that bypass public consent. It says, for critics, the pattern is familiar. Digital money, digital health, and now digital identity as the master key tying it all together. Full control. Many remember being told that V-Passport are a temporary emergency measure tied to Pacific crisis. Yet years later, V-status is now being openly discussed as a permanent data point within a lifelong digital identity. It says temporary solutions of hardened and lasting infrastructure with little debate about how much systems might be repurposed in the future. The most troubling aspect for critics is not that these ideas are being proposed, but they are no longer controversial in elite circles because they coming down that great rod to push that agenda. All right, the agenda. While ordinary citizens argue over privacy and freedom, the architecture of a mission-based society is already being finalized by its institution, an individual who never be subject to its restrictions. So there you go. These devils is on the move. All right, they on the move. All right, the image of the beast is speaking. Let me get another article. Right, check this out. They moving with this. They ain't playing. All right. Okay, they pushing towards this digital ID. Ireland to require all citizens to use digital ID to access social media. So pretty much, okay, you don't gonna be no person behind the computer, basically anonymous. You gotta identify who you are. All right, check this out. The Irish government has announced plans to push for EU-wide mandatory digital ID verification for social media access in a bid to stamp out online anonymity. All right, check this out, right? The condition of being anonymous. So, like I say, you gotta identify who you are. Okay, they want to track and they want to stop this online hate speech or whatever shit, Okay, so they could send authorities at you. All right, so if you post hateful stuff, what they deem as that, easy to track and trace you. All right, that's what these devil want. Tanista Simon Harris said the government's plan to use Ireland's EU's presidency to force through EU-wide rules that would force users to confirm their identities before posting or interacting online. You see that? Identify yourself. That's what they want. Okay? Okay? Identify who you are. Reclaim the net.com report speaking to Extra. Harris described the plan as part of a broad attempt to defend what he called democracy from anonymous abuse and digital manipulation. You see that? Oh boy, Delia, these devils. He said the initiative would coincide with another policy being developed by Media Minister Patrick O'Donovan aimed at preventing children from accessing social media. O'Donovan's proposal, model on Australian restrictions, expected to be introduced while Ireland holds the US presidency next year. Both ideas would involve rewriting parts of the EU's Digital Service Act, which already governs how online platforms operate within the bloc. Expanding it to require verified identities would mark a major shift toward government involvement in online identity systems, a move that many privacy advocates believe could expose citizens to new forms of monitoring and limit open speech. That's what they want to do. Harris said his motivation comes from concerns about the health of public life and not personal grievance. Okay, that's what they want to do. Harris said he believes Ireland would find allies across Europe for the initiative. Okay, okay, all right, all right. I don't want to read all of this, but hey, there you go. They moving fast towards this. Okay, okay. Ireland require all citizens, all right, to use digital ID to access social media. So pretty much right now, in the Western world, you get free access. To do what you have to do. But this coming to the West too. It coming. It starts with the East and trickle down to the West. So a lot of people, you know, you want to remain anonymous in time to come. Because this digital ID, all right, this ain't plain. You got to identify who you are. Okay? Okay? You got to identify who you are. All right? Okay? This devil ain't playing. Okay? This devil ain't playing, but let me get that precept. Okay. I don't want to say mischief by law. Let me see if I can get that precept. Give me a minute. I can't remember that precept. You know, in the book of Psalms. Salakia. Give me a minute. The Psalms 94 and 20. So the throne of iniquity have fellowship to thee, who frame it mischief by law. All right. They gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous and condemn the innocent blood. All right. Okay. You know, they gather themselves in them meetings. Them meetings over there in Davos in Sweden. Okay. Okay. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee? No. Which streameth mischief by law is in the power of his hand. Okay. It's in the power of his hand. All right. Let me get this in a different translation. This the devil, by. This the devil. Third is given in the hand of the wicked, by. This Psalm 94 and 20. Can a throne of destruction be allied with you? One which frames and devises mischief by decree under the sacred name of law. Okay? Okay? These devils, they band themselves together against the life of the righteous and condemn the innocent to death. That's what they do. You see the NSPM 7, you know, you know, anybody fit those categories, they deem them terrorist. I ain't gonna say the word. All right, this devil on the move. 2026 is going to be crazy. 2026 is going to be crazy. All right. Okay. This is Micah 2 and 1 in the AMP. Whoa. All right. Woe, it says in bracket, judgment is coming. That's what woe means, destruction to those who devise wickedness and plot evil on their beds. When the morning comes, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands. Okay? It's in the power of their hands. Okay? You put in the law, it's in power in the hands. Who's ruling the earth is given in the hand of the wicked. Okay? Okay? There's another one. There's another one, Salakia, right? I think it's in there's another one inside I know it's in Daniel the 8th chapter. All right, going into Antiochus, right? This is Daniel 8 and 25. And through his policy he shall cause crafts to prosper in his hand. He shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. And he also shall stand up against the prince of princes. But he shall be broken without a hand. Okay? Salakia. Give me a minute. Get in the NLT. He will be a master of deception. He will become arrogant. He will destroy many without warning. He will even take on the prince of princes in battle. He will be broken, though not by human power. Okay, okay. Let me look up this word. Let me look up this word. Right. Look up this word. Okay. Through his policy, cunning craft, his understanding, his prudence, his insight. That's his devil. All right. He's a cunning. He cunning through his intelligence, his understanding, okay, on the left hand, okay, he pushing through with his digital ID, All right, as you see, the image of the beast is speaking. Okay, and they moving fast with this thing. They ain't playing. Okay, so if you don't want to apply, you're gonna be axed out, society, excluded. But I just want to bring out the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai. Yeah, man, Shalom.